Hello and welcome. Thanks for popping into my channel. If you are new here, please like and subscribe for me. If you find this content helpful, smash that notification bell so that you don't miss out on the next video. Comment below with anything that you need help with or topics you'd like me to cover, and check out my website, consultingninja.tech. With that out of the way, let's get right to it. What are we doing today? Well, I'm going to show you guys Vue Petite. And what it is a 6 kilobyte subset of the most important pieces, the most functional pieces of Vue. I put together this little to-do app. So here we can enter a to-do. Here we have my to-do. I can complete one. I can uncomplete one. I can delete it. I can either double click to edit, or there's a button here that goes from saving to edit mode. I can use the buttons, or I can double click. I can change this, create 2 videos. Like that. So I can edit them. I can add more. Let's say shout out to my channel. So this is pretty cool, right? The crazy part about this app is that it is all contained in one HTML file. There are no libraries, no npm package managers, no package.json, just 102 lines of HTML document. So let's get right to it. We are going to go make this right now. Inside of my Visual Studio Code editor, I've created this plain Jane HTML file. What we need to do is, well, this is a HTML document, so we need to put our doc type. We need an HTML tag. We can open that up. Then we need our head. Inside of here, we can make our title. Let's call this Vue JS Petite to-do app. That sounds good. And then we need 2 scripts. I'm just going to copy and paste these, but I want to talk about them. The first one, this is just a font awesome script. That's what gave me the garbage icon and the file icon and the pencil icon. That's where those are coming from. So this isn't super important. You don't need this to use Vue Petite. This one here, this is where we're pulling the code that handles all of the Vue stuff. All it is this script tag, and that gives us access to, like I said, core foundation of Vue. Now, let's throw some styles in here. Not a ton, just a little. I typically skip this part, but let's go through and do them together today anyway. That's a background color of my favorite 242424. I like that color. And then a regular color of FFF. I like that white. On button, all we're going to do here is set the cursor to pointer, because I can't stand it when you don't know you're pointing at a button. And let's set container class to be a text align center. Margin of 2 EM. Padding 2 EM. And then a list class dot list text align center, display grid. I do like grid display. It's similar to Flex, but I like the grid better for some things. Let's do a grid template columns of auto, 3 columns there. And then a list style type, and we're going to go with none. Don't really like those. Padding 1 EM, margin 1 EM. That looks good. And then for a list item, so dot list dash item, we're going to do a margin bottom, and we'll just do 1 EM on that. And then we're going to add this transition class. This one's going to be cool. Dot transition. This is what gave that kind of cool little fade in as I was editing, adding, that sort of stuff. Let's call this animation. Fade in 1 second. Okay. Now we're going to add 2 more, and that's just to show you guys a different way of doing things on some of our conditional rendering. So completed, let's do a text decoration of line through, and then this one here is the hide class. So display none. Now the last thing for styles that we need to do is define our keyframes for that fade in. This is really straightforward, so just say fade in, opening bracket, closing bracket, 0%, opacity 0, and then one more, 100%, opacity 1, like that. That is our keyframes. Make sure that all of your names match here, the animation name and the keyframes name. Now we can get down to the HTML code that's going to be handling what we're rendering. So we can get out of the head here. Let's go ahead and get rid of those extra spaces, and let's make a body. Body tag. Inside of body, let's make a div with an ID of app, because why not? Every other framework that we use uses that ID of app, so why not? And then let's add another div with a class of container. Now everything is going to go inside of here. Let's make an H1, say Consulting Ninja Vue Petite, and then an H2 with to-do list. All right, if you are following along so far, comment below. What do you guys think of this app we're making using an HTML file? All right, so here's where we're going to start injecting Vue code into this HTML file. Okay, the first thing we're going to do here is make an input, and we're going to do v-model, and we're going to equal that to store.new to do, and then we're going to add this @key up.enter and assign that to store.add to do, and then let's add a placeholder of add a to do like this. So what this V model is going to do, it's going to help keep the input value here in sync with the value coming from our global Vue Petite store. And then this key up, this allows us to just hit enter after we've entered a to-do, the text for our to-do. We don't have to click the add to-do button. This is what lets us do that. It's pretty cool stuff. I also have a double click that I'll show you in just a sec that allows us to flop between edit mode and non-edit mode by double clicking as well. That's also pretty cool. So here we're making a button, @click. This is how you do the clicks when you're binding them to a store. And we're going to do store.add to do like that. And then just say add to do. Now we are going to make our list. So UL, open that up, and let's add a class of list so that we get those styles from our list class, and then an li with a class of list-item and also transition. We want this to be really smooth when it is coming in and out. The next thing that we're going to do is called a v-for. This is how you do list rendering with Vue. So v-for, and then what we're doing is taking a to-do and an index in store.todos, like that. And then right here, let's bind this key to todo.id, and we'll have a piece of code that is handling the ID there for us. I'm sorry, not closing that off. We want the full li tag. And then inside of here, we're going to do some other stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to make an input with a class of transition. We also want this stuff to smoothly render. And this is going to be a checkbox. And then @change, because we're going to have our store be handling the change. Complete to do, and we're passing the index like that. And then we're going to do a v-bind checked equal to todo.completed. So todo.completed like that. Input close off. The next thing we're going to do is add another input with a class of transition as well. Can copy this one, and here we're going to do @double click. It's assigned store.edit to do, and pass that index, and then do a v-if. This is how you do a conditional statement, conditional rendering. If todo.edit equals true, then we are going to render this. And what we're going to do here, this is a binding. And what we're doing is binding the value. We're going to do a couple of bindings here, and this is pretty cool functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to bind the value here to a value in the store, and what that's going to be is todo.text. And then here we're going to say @input is assigned todo.text equals $event.target.value, like that. This is pretty cool stuff. So what this is going to do, we're only going to render this input if the to-do is in edit mode, and then we're going to bind the value to that todo.text, and then we're going to bind the todo.text property to the event.target.value. What this allows us to do is seamlessly transition from edit mode to non-edit mode without even having to go through any sort of update process. It's automatically, if you go into edit mode, it's going to be binding the value of this to-do to the one inside of our store. So that's pretty cool stuff. I like that. Now the next thing we're going to do is create a span. So let's make a span, and we're going to have that class of transition on here as well. And we're also going to have this double click on there because we want to transition between these on double click as well. What I'm going to do afterwards, I'm going to show you guys this other thing that we can do, and that's :class equal an array. So we have :class equal quotes and then an array. Now inside of here, what we're going to do, this allows us to bind one or more classes to some sort of conditional value. You can have both. So here you can see we have a regular class, and then this bound one, you can do multiple things inside of here. So you could do, value ? So if it's a truthy value, then some class name, otherwise something else. But what's better than that is these objects. You can put these objects in there. And how you set these up is just the class and then a truthy statement afterwards, and this would be todo.completed. So that's pretty straightforward, right? We're also going to have one more, so put a comma and then another object, and it's going to be hide, and we're looking for todo.edit. So if we're in edit mode, we don't want to be showing this span, right? And this is an easy way of doing that. You don't have to do, a v-if. I wanted to make sure to point that out for you guys. If you need to do conditional rendering, you can also do it using CSS like this. So then the next thing we need to do is close off the end of that span tag and then do double brackets like this, and then inside do todo.text. So that's going to render out our text in that span if we are not in edit mode. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a button inside of that list item. like this, and that's also going to have this class of transition. We are going to have an @click equal store.remove. This is our delete button, and pass in index. And then here we're going to give a font awesome icon. So I class equal to fa-solid fa-trash, solid trash, just like that. And then that doesn't get anything else. We're just going to render the icon in there. The next button that we're going to have is going to be a little bit bigger. So button, we want the transition class on here, and we also want a @click like this, so we can copy and paste it. But what we want here instead is edit to do. So we're not removing, we're editing, and we're still passing the index. But inside of this button, we're going to do two things. So here we're going to do an I with a VIF. Got to have the I. VIF, and what we're looking for, if to-do.edit equals false, then class fa-solid fa-pen. If we are not in edit mode, we're going to make the pen icon, and we can just copy this. And if we are in edit mode, then we're going to display that fa regular, and this is the floppy disk, fa-floppy disk, like that. We can get rid of these extra spaces. Inside of our body tag, we are going to create a script, but we want it afterwards here. So script. Here's where we do our actual code, the applet that's going to control all of this stuff. So let's say const store is assigned petite view dot reactive, and it's a function with an object. And now let's define our initial state. So to-dos is an empty array. New to-do is an empty string. Next to-do ID is 0. To-do edit is an empty string. And then if you were going to have any getters, you could put those next. We don't need any here. So let's just get to the methods, and what we're going to have is an add to do, which is a function. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to push a new to do into the array. So this dot to dos dot push, and it's going to be an object of ID this next to do ID plus plus. The text is going to come from this dot new to do. Remember, we've bound the input up on that V model right here to store.new to do, so it's going to be updating here, and then when we add, we can just do this dot new to do and pull that text out, no problem. Completed, if we're just creating this, is obviously going to be false. Edit is also going to be false. And then once we're done with that stuff, then let's go ahead and reset the new to do field to the empty string. Sweet. We are nearly there. Now let's do edit to do. And here, this is the crazy part. We are going to be taking an index, and all we're doing inside of the actual edit is this to-dos sub index dot edit is assigned not this to do, like that. That's all we're actually doing in the edit thing, because the bound values, the way we bound the values together, is going to do the actual editing for us, and all the edit to do button and edit to do function really is doing is flopping back and forth. When that input field is rendered, it's automatically populated with the current value that's in there, and as a user changes that value, it's going to keep it in sync with the store value, that particular to do inside the array. So sweet, right? All right, remove to do. This is going to be a function as well that takes an index, and we're just going to do this dot to dos dot splice index comma 1. Right, straightforward. We're just cutting one out, and then the complete to dos, complete to do function index, and all we're doing in here, we can go ahead and copy all of this. We're going to do dot completed, whoops, completed, and we're doing the same thing. We're just flopping that value, so we can copy this like that and say not. So this is our checkbox, just flopping that value back and forth, no problem. Let's put a colon here, and then the next thing that we're going to do is, this is how you fire this up: Petite Vue dot create app, and pass in the store, and then say dot mount, and we are mounting to that hashtag app because everybody does it that way, right? Let's go ahead and give that a save. Let's go ahead and open this up in the browser, and I'm just going to drag the file on there. So here we go. Let's give it a shot, see how we did. So it looks like it added properly. I can complete one. If I double click, I'm in edit mode, and as I'm typing, you'll see that this is automatically in sync. So when I save, all we did was take it out of edit mode, and the value was already updated there because we bound the input to the todo.text and then bound the todo.text to the event.target.value. So that's pretty sweet. We can delete one. Let's add another. Let's add a few of them here. We can hit our enter to do that. Cool. And if we delete one out, then they just move over. There we have it. We have a working to-do app using just Vue Petite and a barely, well, actually, if we get rid of some of these extra spaces, not even 100 lines in one HTML file. Pretty crazy stuff. This has a super small payload. The HTML file that this generates is something like 2 kilobytes, and the JavaScript payload here inside of this Vue, the unpackage.com/petite Vue, that script is like 6 kilobytes. So this works really well for anything where you need just a little bit of extra functionality. I hope that you guys have found this video helpful or interesting. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned. As always, have a great day.